Hello there everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. We are on the Raid Shadow Legends test server. Thank you to Plarium, as always, for letting us jump on here and make this sort of content. But what I want to do today, actually was lucky enough even to awaken him to 1 star. I want to show you the fusion epic, the fragment epic that is available right now. I wanted to get this out nice and early to you as well. You can watch my fusion guide for how to do that. There's still plenty of time. It's going to be very easy to actually complete. And yeah, I think you're going to be pretty surprised by this guy. I can tell you for a fact that I was, and you might be getting a gist of how he surprised me when you get a sneak preview here of his gear, which is probably not what you were expecting. Certainly not what I was expecting. We'll break it down. A1, quick overview of his skills here. A1, 40% chance to stun. It's okay, nothing spectacular but solid. His A2, 3-turn cooldown AoE attack with a 75% chance to stun and decreases the turn meter of enemies under stuns by 15%. Great A2. It's a really strong A2. You think about other epics like this, like Archmage Helmet. It's a very, very similar quality A2. Makes a huge impact, so strong for controlling waves, either in faction wars, in dungeons, or in Doom Tower, so that's very exciting. Unfazed then is A3, removes all stun debuffs from all allies, then puts increased defense and increased resistance, 25%, the small version, on all allies for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. Removing all the stuns is very niche. I'm not really sure what the use of that is likely to be. I mean, bearing in mind, there's plenty of champions that remove all debuffs from all allies, so I don't know about that. The increased defense buff is kind of okay. It's not the worst thing to bring. It's going to up his own damage, which is cool. And the increased resistance, I also think this is fairly hit or miss. It's the small version of increased resistance. It's hard to see how you're going to build teams around 2 turns of small increased resistance on 4-turn cooldown. So I'm not too impressed with this move. Then he does have a passive, though, that makes me very excited, where he himself is immune to stun. So that's cool. And I guess he could come in and cleanse your team of stun, potentially. But again, I don't know where that would actually be useful. But he increases the damage inflicted by all allies by 15% when attacking enemies under stun debuffs. Now, that is very cool. I like that a heck of a lot. Really, really awesome. Just upping all the damage your team's going to do in arena, in wave-based content particularly. I think that's very exciting. 30% defense in faction crypts is nice too. And there's a lot of synergy going on there. I have him with the cruelty blessing, actually. I think it's got bad stats for him. The HP and the crit damage are good. The attack is really bad, though. It's a bit tough. There aren't that great blessings, I'm going to be honest, for epics defense-based. It's pretty poor. There's polymorph for, legendaries, but Chainbreaker is okay, but it might break him free of these other CCs. It's a pretty weak effect. Hopefully they'll do a balanced pass on blessings sometime and give more to defense champions. In terms of how I built him up then, this is spicy. I have put him in lethal gear. Let me explain why. And I did get some comments. I think people were a bit annoyed that I didn't put Samson in Savage gear. I'll show you why. So this is Harima, who's the other sort of defense-based nuker of the patch. I'm going to do a video on her soon. I'm very excited to see her. She does have more defense and more crit damage for sure, but she's coming in, and for example, her AoE attack has a 3.9 defense multiplier, 20% damage from books. So it's going to be a big hitter. Hoskarul, though, he's not far behind. His AoE actually has a 4.1 multiplier, which grades it as godlike. His A1 is a 3.85. That's a massive single target hit. Like Harima has a 3.3, for instance. So yeah, his base defense isn't insanely high, but if you factor in your faction guardians, which are easier to build up for epics, for an earlier game or free-to-play player, that's not going to be stacked up on these legendaries. This guy really has potential to smack hard, and he provides his own increased defense, and he's going to hit harder if enemies are stunned. So this stuff starts to come together and be pretty exciting. If we look at Samson, for example, he has a 0.29 HP multiplier on his AoE. But to do the extra hit, now if he does an extra hit, this is massively powerful. The strongest HP nuke in the game. AoE, that is. But the problem with this, he has to kill an enemy, which is hard to arrange. Whereas, let's say Magnar comes in and he has a 0.22, but that hits twice and it's easy to do the extra hit. So it's very easy to do 0.44 times HP damage as Magnar, whereas Samson has 0.29. it's a really big damage difference. We got 20% damage from books versus Magnar has 30%. So Magnar really pulls ahead now. Samson has better base stats, but yeah, I just wasn't super convinced by Samson. I didn't feel like it made the most sense to build him as a nuker when you can just use a Magnar. Whereas the build we tried for Samson, I think, was cool. But I'm very interested with Hoskarul. It's certainly not the only build you could do with him. Of course, you could build him faster with more accuracy for Doom Tower Hard, like build him at 300, 350 accuracy for all of Doom Tower Hard, like you would an Archmage Helmet, and he's going to be fantastic there. But yeah, in terms of the total stats I gave him, 42k HP, 5k defense, 226 speed. So he's reasonably quick still. 100% crit rate, 230% crit damage, and about 240 accuracy. He does have a bit of resistance, 209, and he'll give himself, I guess, another 50 or so when he puts the increased resistance on, but it's not going to add up to much, unfortunately. I probably should change the mastery. I gave him the resistance mastery here, thinking I could build into it, and then I realized that no, I probably really couldn't. It may also potentially be worth giving him Harvest to spare for the leech when he stuns, but I also didn't bother to do that. I gave him fairly standard nuker masteries. We're going to up his damage on the first hit. We're going to have him do more damage to targets with a stun, so really doubling down on the passive, and actually giving him Helm Smasher. We're going to see how he works as a nuker, first and foremost. So let's dive in. Let's give it a go, shall we? Yeah, let's give it a go. Be right back. Okay, so the first point of comparison I want to touch on, which is fairly straightforward, this is my Barbarian team, which I actually do run, okay? And it was clearing the crypt in about 2 minutes or so, typically. There's a lot of randomness that happens with it, with the last boss and the fears. Skytouch Shaman attempts to fix that, but doesn't quite work out. Maybe I could put in more nukers and do it faster. It's something to come back to. But you can see Turvold, obviously from the Guaranteed Void a couple of months ago now, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, he was really beast mode. He does so much damage right there. But I wanted to compare with Hoskarul the Scourge, who's doing about, 750k damage, so proportionate to Turvold. And we're just simply going to put in Hoskarul instead of Hoskarul the Scourge. In terms of team setup, I really haven't done anything much. I've just set him to prioritize his AoE stun on the waves, right? Because it's a 3-turn cooldown. I want to make sure we get the stun out mostly. And I do think in this situation, I'm running Turvold, who gives himself 42% attack in faction crypts, which, by the way, that's a benefit for Hoskarul. Hoskarul's not going to have. But Hoskarul, in general, has fantastic synergy with this crypt, with Seal of the Drakes, who's going to benefit from the defense aura, and also bring stuns to benefit from his passive. It's an amazing combination. The increased defense and increased resistance keeps her safe. It's an amazing, it's just such a strong synergy. And then you've got Armina, who's fairly unimpressive, but she does get turn meter whenever an enemy is stunned, and again, she's got more sources of stun here. She can steal turn meter, she can place a stun as well, so lots of synergies with stun in this faction, with another epic fairly accessible, and of course Syl, login legendary, that is the queen of this faction. So Hoskarul, you certainly don't need him, right? You certainly don't need him to beat this faction. Syl can basically do it all by herself. Here he comes. And look at that smack, guys. Wave cleared. Wave done. We're basically done. I guess, actually, we slightly wasted it there, where he's wasted, but it's fine. He's wasted his increased defense. It would have been cool to have that for wave 2 to then up his damage, but I think it's totally fine. And that was a smack without increased defense and without an aura. 42k in his A1. You can see Turvold does hit significantly harder. Turvold is basically the hardest hitting, look at that smack, hardest hitting single target damage champ in the game. But what I want to show you here is Hoskarul. This guy is absolutely no slouch at all. This guy brings the damage. Let me tell you, we're going to leave them full auto. We don't want to interfere. I didn't interfere with the sample one with Hoskarul. He's actually put out the increased defense. That's probably going to help us quite a bit. We've got block debuffs on as well. That's good for the fear. We're actually super lucky here. This looks like a pretty lucky run. Might end up being quite a quick one. We will see. Is he going to come in with a slam? Boom. I mean, look at that. 132k on that enemy on the side right there. If you think that Turvold just smacked him for about 200k, and Turvold hits gosh darn hard. Look at that, 71k A1. Again, his increased defense had fallen off, but it's very respectable. We also got some really weird error text coming up. That's not good. But I guess in a sense, this is not... It maybe doesn't come through as well as it should. because Turvold does so much damage. Such an underrated champ. But Hoskarul is really, he's bringing the pain. He absolutely is. On top of enhancing the AoE damage the rest of the team is doing, and making us tankier. 150 there, faster clear. And we come through and we see again Hoskarul. Very similar. Turvold, very similar damage to the sample case. Hoskarul with a 42% attack aura. And Hoskarul has massive base attack. So big stat boost to Hoskarul. Hoskarul is coming in and actually putting out really similar damage, which is so impressive. I think that's so impressive. I've put him in pretty crazy gear, but this guy can do damage. He really can. Let's jump in. Let's see him in some arena. So we'll hit some of the teams that we were hitting last time. And basically what I've done in the Samson showcase, what I did was I actually went in and we compared... we basically used this team, but I used Staltus instead of Hoskarul. Okay, so we're going to try a similar thing here now. Staltus was in Stone Skin. Hoskarul is not in Stone Skin here. But let's just test it out and let's see what happens. We've got 2 champions in Bolster to give him a big shield to keep him alive. The increased defense he's going to provide is going to help us stay safe. Increased resistance is going to be great for Hackhorn as well. Hackhorn is not a great champ, but he's the best cleanser I've got. Like a Wither or something be better. So let's see how it goes. I don't really have... I think I've got one piece of reaction, which will hopefully keep him safe. You can see he's vulnerable to these debuffs, but he should hopefully be cleansed by Hackhorn before he comes to taking a turn. We've got increased attack here, so I'm pretty scared. Yeah, he is going to get taken out, so that's pretty rough. We'll have a revive. We'll see if we can pull it through. There we go. He's revived up. Hackhorn, again, hopefully coming in with a cleanse soon enough. We need to be really careful about killing this guy. Hopefully... Oh, we didn't get the stun. That's unfortunate. The cleanse comes in. Let's see. Can we make this happen? We need to be careful about killing these hegemons. I'm going to target him. Be a bit cheeky here. But look at that. Big AoE smack. Does good damage. Oh no, and everyone else is dead. And we're all dead. We didn't kill... we weak hit Hefrak, unfortunately. Not a terrible showcase, though. Let's go again. Let's try a different one. Baron's going to definitely mess us up a little bit. And we're definitely going to have a tough time. I think we hit this team as well with... So, in terms of arena, I definitely feel like he's going to be okay here. I'm not expecting him to shine as much as, let's say, the Staltus will. I might actually do a full guide on Staltus, but Staltus in Stone Skin in particular sort of keeps you safe. Look at that. He actually came in, and not too bad. He landed stuns on a few of them. That's actually pretty good, on top of doing some decent damage. Boom, we get the big hit from Samson. Again, he's not in Savage Gear, but he can still do good damage. Increased defense goes on, and now helping us resist stuff as well. Stun from Samson. Samson A1 stuns. We've got potential stuns from A1 on Hackhorn as well. Oh no, oh no, you were asleep. He went to sleep. That's not good. But yeah, like, I think he's not bad. Again, right there, Samson sort of took the crown. But I suppose the passive from Hoskarul, were they stunned? Did the passive up the damage? I'm actually not sure. Yeah, let's try against this team. This should be pretty cool. We've got lots of shields for them, 2 revivers. I think this is nice for us because our damage dealers are actually Spirit, and hopefully he just goes and he kills Hackhorn instead, right? So we'll see how they do against a Candrafon. But yeah, like I said, I don't expect him to be amazing here. Like his A3 isn't particularly impressive. Yeah, I'm just not convinced. I feel like you're going to build him with enough accuracy for Doom Tower or Faction Wars, but that's not enough accuracy to stun in the arena, like to consistently stun champions here like Sifi and Arbiter against more late game teams. You're going to need like 600 plus accuracy, maybe more. Nonetheless, though, you can see he goes in, he does a big slam. Again, another problem is because he's going to hit so hard with this particular sort of build. He's going to potentially remove stuns, right? He hits them so hard, it procs the mastery that could potentially remove stuns. That could be pretty bad. So there's upsides and there's downsides to building him like this. Certainly, I think in an earlier sort of team, an earlier game team, he's going to be pretty all right in a go second team. Like you're a few months into the game, you're really struggling in 3v3. Like the guy can take a hit. He brings some CC, especially when you're earlier in the game and enemies are not going to be having tons of resistance. And he's going to do pretty good damage, like he will. He's going to do good damage and also sort of protect your team. You see, he's got no resistance, so he's so vulnerable to crowd control here. Hopefully Hackhorn comes back to block debuffs at some stage this century. We're also should be getting increased accuracy reasonably often from Samson, which will keep us in the game. He's getting hit, but he's still not dead. We'll take it. Very annoying. We removed the counterattack, but she still has it right there. Still not dead. Big smack on the Arbiter. Not too bad. I think he did stun her, and then the Mastery removed it. That's life, eh? But yeah, I think you can see here for Arena, you could build him for Arena. You could build him in Stone Skin, and he could work. But I think compared to other champions here, he's definitely not anywhere near as good. Like, Samson is clearly on another level. It's not even close, right? So we look at this. Yeah, Hoskarul, he put out 108. He was being slept a lot by Sifi, but Samson he's on another level. And you know from the Samson showcase that Stultus is basically on a similar level to Samson. I think it's hard to build Hoskarul for Arena. And likewise, I think one of the big things, you can put Polymorph on your defensive nukers like Stultus, and it's absolutely amazing. Or Samson, Polymorph, amazing. You don't have that option with Hoskarul because he's an epic. So I think for that, he's not so good. Let me rebuild him here. Let me build him in a non-nuking build, and let's see how he does in some Doom Tower stuff. So I'll be right back. Okay, Nubkeks, you're saying, yeah, okay, that was cool. Great showcase and all that. Let's see him in this more reasonable gear. I've still put him in really good gear, but let's see what we can do. I've put him into Relentless, right? If you don't have Relentless, you can put him in Speed Set, Percept. You could just put him in Triple Perception, give him lots of speed, help to reach that accuracy. We've switched him over from that defense banner into an accuracy banner. So yeah, we've gone for a more reasonable build. It's still very good, right? 247 speed. I'm still building him well. 100% crit rate. I've got a lot less crit damage now, but a lot more accuracy, essentially. We've dropped some defense, some HP, but I still think he's going to be good. We're going to come over into his masteries. Let's reset these. So we're definitely going to still grab the crit rate. We're going to grab the crit damage. He hits hard. Make him do more damage. We'll up the damage of his A1 now, and this time we'll give him War Master for just consistent damage that's less dependent here. If you're struggling for accuracy, you can certainly send him down the support tree. I think there's no massive harm in that. You know, give him some more turn meter when stuns expire, help him landing the stuns. I actually have plenty. I'm aiming for about 350 accuracy for all of Doom Tower hard. Like, that's tons. We've got that. So we're good. Again, you could put him in like an accuracy chest piece if you're struggling. You could put him in more perception gear. I just want to give him the best showcase possible. So we'll come over here. Let's grab him. How much resistance does he have? Is it worth grabbing more? It's not worth grabbing. He's got basically none. Forget about it. We'll get him tough skin here. We'll give him less damage from AoEs. That's fine. We'll give him Resurgent. We'll give him less damage from hits. And at this point, we will give him Harvest Despair. So he's going to be throwing out some leeches as well. You could absolutely also consider giving him Solidarity if you're going to build more of a resistance type team, right? He puts out the increased defense, increased resistance. That's 10 extra resistance plus 2.5. It's not a big deal, but with increased resistance, it's slightly better, you know? Let's give him the chance to counterattack, and I don't know. Let's yeah, sure. Let's give him deterrence as well. That's going to be fine. Over here, let's assume he's going to be high HP. We'll give him Heart of Glory, and let's give him actually some healing if he does happen to drop low. I don't think we're going to need it. And let me go throw together our fairly free-to-play friendly Doom Tower team. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, so here we go. I think a pretty free-to-play friendly team. Although, of course, you know, getting through Doom Tower hard, you're going to need to be pretty far into the game because you're going to need some pretty darn good gear to actually get past. Like, you're going to need, like, 350 accuracy, for example. Ultimate DK, he's not going to land any CC on the high resistance enemies and stuff like that. But here we go. We've got Ultimate Death Knight. He's going to give us a defensive aura, which is cool. He was a free legendary for people logging on. We've got Vizix. I'm actually going to set Vizix to probably priority 1 on Sinister Allies, right? So she's going to be landing decreased speed and putting out ally protection. So that's going to be great. Also a defensive based champion. Fantastic. So we've got 2 champions that are scaling damage off defense. Also, more defense is going to up the shield from Ultimate Death Knight. We've got Syl of the Drakes. I'll actually set her priority 1 to revive. Make sure that she does that. There we go. I think that's fine. And then she's just going to be firing off this priority 2. So AoE stuns. Great. So we've got stuns. That's going to combo well with Hoskarul and his passive. Hoskarul will set him to priority 1 on his stuns. Just keep those waves locked down. So that's great. And then we're going to bring in Archmage Helmet. Archmage is going to be providing us with increased speed, crit rate, and crit damage. So we could actually go in and have less crit rate. Like, these champions don't have max crit rate. We could ditch this crit rate on Hoskarul, and we could, whatever, we could, I don't know. Let's just say that you've got worse gear than me. Ditch ditch 30% crit rate, and he's going to be maxed out by Archmage anyway. And Archmage is also going to come in with another stun. So I think that's pretty cool. So Hoskarul, I think in this composition, Hoskarul, he's bringing us really good crowd control, really, really good. He's upping the damage that we are going to do, and he's actually going to be providing increased defense to make Ultimate Death Knight, Physics, Syl all stronger, up the tankiness of our team if they make an attack, and all the rest. So I think it's going to be a nice little combo. Let's dive in. All right, here we go. Let's click full auto. He's actually the fastest one there. He goes in and he actually lands stuns on nearly all of the champions. Syl comes in and actually fills in that missing stun right there. So that is cool. Increased defense is now on. Then we've got stuns from Archmage Helmet. Fantastic Physics has landed provokes as well. The decreased speed is out on them. Increased speed on us is going well. And yeah, you can hopefully you can see the idea of this team. Boom, we've got the stun back from Hoskarul. Ultimate Death Knight has actually, believe it or not, successfully landed a provoke. But the idea with this, I think we're on floor 80 or something of Doom Tower Hard, so not the highest floor. And right here, what you can actually do is take it off auto, and you can just start doing A1s to finish them off. It actually doesn't matter here. We're all doing A1s anyway, but we can just sort of try and make sure that we go into the next wave. It's actually a Mortu Macabre wave. I didn't actually check this first. We've missed the stun there, which is a problem. Physics has pushed his turn meter back a little bit. I'm very worried that this Mortu is going to come in. Let's see. There we go. We got the stun. Targeted Lord Chazar there to try and ensure we got the stun. We're getting very unlucky with stuns on Mortu, who is the champion that can start one-shotting us. Maybe with ally protection will be okay. There's the provoke. But yeah, look, you see the idea of this free-to-play team. And the idea is very simple, which is we just bring crowd control, crowd control, crowd control. And Hoskarul, he just fits in perfectly with two of the best legendaries for doing this in the game. Syl of the Drakes, Physics, and even Ultimate Death Knight. Again, this Ultimate Death Knight, like I said, he's built for Arena, so he's very slow, and he's got tons of resistance. That's good for Hydra as well, right? But you could totally build him faster, and you could give him accuracy, so he's going to be actually throwing out fears and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. So again, at this point, we can take it off auto. We can just sort of make sure we're going to get through to the next wave without really any stress. Yeah, let's finish him off. Fantastic. We see 8k there. Let's see how hard. Hoskarul, he's coming in with 11k. Even not really built for damage, he is still putting the damage out there. He's still doing work. And great. We're going to get through. Nice and simple. Very safe. We're on to the final wave. Bam. Nice stun here. One thing I will say, I think the fastest wave in Doom Tower Hard, I think, is 250 speed. I think there's Sifi, and that's really bad, right? If Sifi has 250 speed, you start the wave and she puts block debuffs on everyone, you're in for a really bad time. Now, you could bring in a buff stripper or something like that. The easiest thing to do is just to build like your Syl or your Physics or your Hoskarul or somebody. You build somebody with over 250 speed. Speed auras are great for this as well. They can really help. So you could use like Mighty Uko, 20% speed aura to help you get over that 250 speed, so you crowd control that Sifi before she puts all of those nasty buffs to protect her team. That can be really effective. But yeah, I mean, as you can see going through here, Syl is healing up any damage we take. The shielding from Ultimate Death Knight is massive with that increased defense. We've got increased resistance. It's going to help a little bit with things like Torment waves that can freeze you. And yeah, we'll see what the total damage stats are here at the end. We actually got through this in pretty good time. And bearing in mind, everyone is doing 15% more damage thanks to Hoskarul, which is pretty fantastic, but he's a great champ. I think he's really, really good. And if you have not finished Doom Tower Hard, this is a champion that you should 100% consider. There we go. 111 turns in. You can see the total sort of performance here. Hoskarul, he's in better gear than these champions, to be honest. Like my Physics actually did top damage. I haven't re-geared her in ages. I have a Physics guide. I think I've got guides for all of these champions actually on the channel. But yeah, like an updated little free-to-play team here. Yeah, sort of free-to-play mid-game, basically, is what you're looking at. Someone that, you know, you're 9 to 12 months in, you're really at that point of pushing up Doom Tower Hard, you're having a tough time. A team like this, just crowd control for days. Hoskarul, he loves it. He just thrives here. And the damage increase from his passive doesn't really show, but it will show in your time. Yeah, I think he's a great champ. And nice thing about him as well in this particular comp is that he is a different affinity from Syl and Ultimate DK. So he's going to give you some coverage, right? With this comp by default, Archmage and Syl are both magic, so they can miss stuns on Force Affinity. Hoskarul is like, yo, Force Affinity, I love stunning them. It's my jam. So there you go, guys. Hoskarul, what do I think of him? Oh, I can't open the champion page right here. That's a bit of a bummer. But yeah, Hoskarul, I think this guy is actually a really good epic. I think he's very, very solid. I think that also the events so far for the Fusion have been extremely easy. Again, check out my guide if you want. But I think if you've been playing for a little while and you're actually able to do dungeons like in a reasonable time to complete the dungeon events and dungeon divers, like this should be a very easy epic to get. And he's actually going to be amazing for progression. I think like sure, end game, late game, he's not power because he's just an epic, right? For a whale who's been playing for 3 years, he's entirely useless. There's no question about that. But I think as a fusion, as a champion to help progression players, to help you get through the game and beat the game, this guy for me is actually one of the best ones this year. He's actually really, really impressive. Easy to get, most likely. Very, very easy to get. Easy to book. Easy to get faction guardians. He'll help you farm faction wars really fast. And he's just a beast for this PvE content. Great champ. There you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.